The woman stands in a cramped costume workshop at midnight, hand-sewing rhinestones onto fabric panels that will cover less than 3 square feet of her body. She's been here for 6 hours after a full shift as a hospital receptionist. In 11 days, she'll wear this costume for exactly 90 minutes in the Sambadrome, then disassemble it and store the pieces in plastic bins under her bed. The costume cost her 3 months of grocery money. She will not be paid a single real for any of this. This is not exploitation masked as tradition. This is something far more complex, far more human, and far harder to understand from the outside. This is the economic paradox at the heart of Rio Carnival, where tens of thousands of people willingly enter a system that demands everything and compensates nothing, year after year, generation after generation. Samba schools operate as cultural institutions, neighborhood anchors, and social networks that predate most of Brazil's modern economy. They emerged in the early 20th century in Rio's working-class communities, created by descendants of enslaved Africans who used music and dance as acts of survival and resistance. These organizations were never designed as businesses. They were collective expressions of identity in neighborhoods where formal employment was scarce and social infrastructure was absent. The Samba school became the thing that bound a community together when nothing else could. For decades, participation required no money because there was no money. Costumes were improvised from household materials, donated fabric, borrowed feathers. Rehearsals happened in backyards and empty lots. The parade itself was a neighborhood event, not a televised spectacle. The economics was simple because they barely existed. You showed up, you contributed what you could. You danced, then television arrived, then tourism, then corporate sponsorships and media rights and municipal contracts worth millions of reais. The Samba schools became economic engines, generating revenue that flows toward leadership, production companies, and broadcast networks. But the foundational structure never changed. Dancers still show up for free. This creates a system that runs on a currency that has no exchange rate with money. It runs on belonging, pride, identity, and the profound human need to be part of something larger than individual survival. Understanding why someone would pay to work hundreds of hours for no compensation requires understanding what compensation actually means in this context. The rehearsals begin in September, 7 months before Carnival. Every weekend, sometimes twice a week, members gather in the school's rehearsal space, often a concrete hangar or open courtyard in the neighborhood. These sessions are not optional if you want to parade. Attendance is tracked. Your spot in the parade depends on proving you know the choreography, the lyrics, the timing. Miss too many rehearsals and you lose your place in your wing. A woman who works retail arrives at the rehearsal space. After her shift ends at 8, she takes 2 buses, 45 minutes each way. The rehearsal runs until 11. She gets home past midnight, sleeps 5 hours, wakes for her morning job. She does this every Tuesday and Saturday for 6 months. Her transportation costs for rehearsals alone exceed 400 reais. The Samba school offers no reimbursement for travel, no stipend for time, no coverage for the costumes she must purchase or construct herself. The costume is the second economic extraction point. Samba schools sell costume packages to their members, prices ranging from 300 to over 2,000 reais depending on the wing and the complexity of the design. These costumes are often constructed by professional ateliers, contracted by the school, meaning the school profits from the transaction. The dancer pays the school for the right to wear the school's costume design in the school's parade. Some wings allow members to construct their own costumes if they match the official design specifications, but this requires access to materials, tools, and skills that carry their own costs. A single feathered headdress can cost 600 reais, a beaded bra and skirt set, another 800. Shoes must be specific colors, often custom dyed. Jewelry must match the theme. Makeup requires specialized products for heat and humidity. A dancer preparing for Carnival might spend between 1,000 and 3,000 reais on a costume she will wear for 90 minutes and never wear again. There is no resale market for used Carnival costumes. They are too specific, too personalized, too tied to a single year's theme. Now calculate the hourly economics. 6 months of rehearsals, 2 sessions per week, 3 hours per session, totals roughly 150 hours. Add costume construction time, another 40 hours. Add final fittings, logistics meetings, and the parade day itself, another 20 hours. Conservative estimate is 210 hours of labor. If the dancer spent 2,000 reis on costumes and transportation, she has paid roughly 10 reis per hour for the privilege of working. The Samba school, meanwhile, generates revenue from multiple streams. Television broadcast rights for the Sambadrome parade are worth millions. Corporate sponsorships from beer companies, telecom providers, and tourism boards provide additional funding. The municipal government subsidizes top-tier schools. Ticket sales for the Sambadrome, where tourists pay hundreds of reais for seats, generate further income, merchandise, albums, and international tours create ongoing revenue long after Carnival ends. This money does not flow to the dancers. It flows to the school's directors, to the carnavalesco who designs the parade, to the professional float builders, to the costume ateliers at the wholesale level, to the musicians in the batteria who are often paid performers, the people who actually execute the parade, the dancers who spend half a year preparing, receive nothing. From the outside, this looks like exploitation, and in purely economic terms, it is. But the dancers do not describe it that way. When you ask a woman why she pays to dance, she does not say she feels exploited. She says the Samba school is her family. She says this is how she honors her grandmother, who danced in the same wing for 30 years. She says this is the one time all year she feels beautiful, powerful, seen. The economic irrationality only makes sense when you understand what the Samba school provides, that money cannot buy. In neighborhoods where infrastructure is weak and social mobility is nearly impossible, the Samba school offers structure, identity, and purpose. It offers a reason to stay connected to your community when economic pressures push everyone toward isolation. It offers a space where your labor creates something undeniably real, a 90-minute performance watched by millions. Where you are not invisible, a man in his 50s has paraded with the same school for 32 years. He works as a janitor in a commercial building downtown. His income barely covers rent and food. Every year, he saves for his costume. By skipping meals in the months before Carnival, he has never missed a parade. When asked why he continues, he pauses for a long time, then says, "Because when I'm in the Sambadrome, I am not a janitor. I am part of something that matters." This is not false consciousness or romanticized poverty. This is a calculated exchange of economic value for social and emotional value, in a context where social and emotional value may be more scarce than money. The woman sewing rhinestones at midnight is not deluded. She knows exactly what she's trading. She has decided the trade is worth it. But this does not mean the system is fair. The fact that people willingly participate in an economically exploitative structure does not make the structure less exploitative. It makes it more insidious because it runs on genuine love, genuine pride, genuine community bonds, which makes questioning it feel like betrayal. Samba school leadership benefits from this dynamic. They can extract hundreds of hours of unpaid labor while framing it as cultural preservation and community honor. They can sell costumes at markup while framing it as participation in tradition. They can profit from media rights while claiming the parade is a non-profit cultural event. The language of cultural heritage becomes a shield against economic accountability. Some schools have begun offering small stipends or travel reimbursements for dancers who attend all rehearsals, but these are token gestures, 50 or 100 reais, barely enough to cover 2 weeks of bus fare. Over a 6-month period, other schools have experimented with tiered participation, where wealthier members pay more for premium costumes, subsidizing lower-cost options for poorer members. But these remain exceptions. The baseline model is unchanged. You pay to work. The counter-argument is that Carnival is not employment, it is cultural participation, and therefore standard labor economics do not apply. Samba schools argue they provide immense social value that cannot be quantified in reais. They point to community cohesion, cultural preservation, youth engagement, and identity formation as intangible benefits that justify the economic model. They say if you treated dancers as employees, you would destroy the communal spirit that makes Carnival meaningful. This argument holds partial truth. If Samba schools became conventional businesses with paid performers, something essential would likely be lost. The parade would become a production, not a ritual. The dancers would become workers, not participants. The transformation would fundamentally alter what carnival means, but acknowledging this does not resolve the ethical problem. It is possible for something to be culturally important and economically exploitative at the same time. It is possible for people to genuinely love a system that does not serve their material interests. The existence of emotional compensation does not erase the absence of financial compensation, especially when leadership profits while participants pay. What makes this sustainable is that carnival is not year-round. It is contained. You sacrifice 6 months. You spend money you do not have. You exhaust yourself, and then it ends. You return to your job, your routine, your normal economics. The system is survivable because it is temporary. If it were permanent, it would collapse. The parade itself lasts 90 minutes per school. The moment the school enters the Sambadrome, all the economics become irrelevant. The woman who spent 2,000 Rs on her costume is not thinking about money. The man who skipped meals to save for his wings is not calculating hourly wages. They are inside the thing they built, moving through the space they prepared for, surrounded by thousands of people who made the same irrational choice for the same irrational reasons. And then it ends. The Sambadrome empties. The costumes are carefully disassembled, feathers removed, rhinestones stored. Dancers take buses home in the early morning light, still wearing smudged makeup, carrying plastic bags full of costume pieces. By noon, the cleanup crews are already dismantling the floats. By the next day, the Samba schools are tallying scores, reviewing footage, beginning to plan next year. The economic absurdity does not diminish the experience. If anything, the sacrifice deepens it. When you have invested hundreds of hours and thousands of Rs into something that exists for 90 minutes and then vanishes, those 90 minutes become unbearably precious. The irrationality is the point. If it were rational, it would be work. Because it is irrational, it is magic. This does not mean the system should remain unchanged. It means that fixing it requires understanding why people participate despite the exploitation, not dismissing their reasons as false or naive. It means finding ways to reduce financial burden without destroying communal meaning. It means questioning why leadership profits while dancers pay, and whether that imbalance can shift without collapsing the entire structure. Carnival will continue. People will continue paying to dance, because the alternative, not dancing, is unthinkable for those who have made it part of their identity. The economic model will persist because it runs on something more powerful than money. It runs on the human need to build something beautiful and temporary and impossible, together, even when the cost is unreasonable and the compensation is invisible. If you want to understand why people create systems this difficult, this irrational, and this beautiful, you're welcome to stay with us for the next story.